Insulation contracting business has one more important aspect to it. So in last 3 videos, we talked about various things like estimate, phase-based estimates, options, jobs, etc. But the one more important thing is when an estimate is approved and you are scheduling that job, you have to prepare loadout sheets. Like what is your team actually going to put ultimately in your in that trucks ultimately to complete that job. So in this video, I'm just going to exactly show you how you can prepare loadout sheets based on inventory, because FieldCamp is inventory tracking as well. Of course, there's a lot of setup which will go in, especially this area, because first of all, the inventory needs to be tracked for every single thing which you have. And then when you prepare a loadout sheet, you need to see if you have that item in the inventory, yes or no. So what I'm going to do is, I have this estimate. I'm just going to select one of the options and act like a customer who just approved it, and I'm going to convert that to a job. When I convert it to a job, in ideal other softwares, a similar workflow is also happening over here, where I will not schedule it right now. I'm just converting it, and then I'm going to create work orders ultimately for my crews based on various days that they are going, and each work order will have a loadout sheet which is required. So I'm just going to unselect everything, and then I'm going to create it from the estimate. So now I have this job ultimately which has all the items and everything which is required, which came in from the estimate. The site measurements also came in from the estimate. So all of that stuff is right here. Now we have to prepare a loadout sheet and create the work orders for each and every day that the person is or the crew is going to go and do their work on the site. Now that the job is created, what we have to do is we have to assign work orders ultimately to the technicians. So let's say the first one is, of course, it's unscheduled because we just selected schedule later. But I'm going to go in this particular visit. Visit is like a work order. So you can create multiple visits under this job, and then you will, based on the permissions you have given to the technicians, you can say that, hey, they should not be able to see the price. They should only be able to see the quantity. So if you are making your estimates very detailed by specifically saying that, hey, this item will be needed this much, this item will be needed this much, etc., then technicians can just use that as a loadout sheet and say, okay, I'll need 12 of spray from XYZ, I'll need 13 of these bags ultimately, and they can prepare it. Or the second option which they can do to have this loadout like prepared for them as a CEO or like dispatcher, etc., what you can do is you can add it to the notes panel. In the notes, you can just say, for example, I just added this note that, hey, you need for example, blow-in cellulose insulation bags, you need 10 bags, you need R49 upgrade 30 bags, etc., equipment this much. So you can add all of these information end to end right in the notes panel itself. What you can do is also you can make a AI agent over here whose job is like a teammate who will look at the estimate, and you say, hey, always ask to add 10 if cellulose is 10 bags according to estimate. In the notes ultimately add 12 bags. So what the agent will do is, when a visit is scheduled, one day before it will go into the estimate and then prepare a loadout sheet and add it to the notes, so your technicians or crew members can look at it. So this is one way to automate it. Now you can go one layer deep as well, because FieldCamp is very flexible. We have an inventory module. Now in the inventory module, ultimately you can track that, hey, how much inventory you have for these bags and where are they stored ultimately. So when you are actually adding it to the items, then you have to make sure that that inventory exists, or you have to ask the technicians to buy them. So while you can track this inventory of where they are, and when they are used at the job, they automatically get deducted. But there is one important gap, which is, if a particular item doesn't exist, then how are you going to order it? This is where FieldCamp's agents ultimately again come into picture, where what they can do is, when an estimate is converted to a job, it will say, if it will see in the inventory if those items exist. If yes, then good, but if not, then it will create those purchase orders and send it to the vendors ultimately. So that's a full flow of things which is possible. But the best way currently inside FieldCamp to have your loadout sheets prepared is, if you just want to notify the technicians on what to put, then it's going to be in the notes. But if you want to also verify if those inventory exist and then put it to the notes field, either a human can do it, or you can use an AI agent using a prompt in FieldCamp to train it. And we are going to add this agent in the marketplace. So if you are insulation contractor, you can just enable that.